It's been 4 years since terrorists fighting the cause of the so-called Islamic State invaded Government Girls Science and Technical School in Dapchi, Yobe State, and abducted 110 schoolgirls. In the succeeding few weeks and months, 109 of those girls were released by their captors. Only one, Leah Sharibu, was left behind for a refusal to renounce her Christian faith. And up till this day, her story, just like that of the Chibok girls 4 years earlier in 2014, continues to come up in conversations all over the world regarding the menace of non-state actors in Nigeria and beyond. Joining us now to have a conversation on the implication of Nigeria's inability to account for Leah Sharibu and indeed other prisoners of conscience within our territory is Aisha Yesufu, a human rights activist and businesswoman. She co-founded Bring Back Our Girls movement to focus global attention on the abductions of over 200 girls from a secondary school in Chibok, northeast of Nigeria, on the 14th of April, 2014. Good to have you join us, Aisha. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's 4 years after Leah Sharibu is still in captivity. I mean, how much more pain can the Nigerian nation endure? I know how you will feel about it. But tell us, what else can be possibly done? Or are we just to resign ourselves to the fact that we just continue to hope that Leah Sharibu will return?
Thank you so much. It's really so sad that today we are counting 4 years, and in a few months we'll be counting 8 years for Chibok girls. On day 1,000 of Chibok girls abduction, my daughter said something, and I'm going to quote her verbatim. She said, "As long as Chibok girls are in captivity, we all are in captivity." So I will rephrase that a bit and say that as long as Leah Sharibu is in captivity, we all are in captivity. I think one of the things that we as citizens of Nigeria do not understand is that when something happens to someone and we do nothing about it, we actually do two things. We embolden the criminals to do more, and we give the government enabling environment to not do the to not do the thing that they're supposed to do, to not carry out their own act. And it's Leah Sharibu and still in captivity means that any one of us, we are just victims waiting to happen. And in Nigeria, being a victim is no longer a matter of if, it is a matter of when. The victim card is going around. And we have shown that we are a nation that doesn't care about its own citizen. We've shown that we are a nation of people who do not care what happened to other people as long as it hasn't happened to us. And the terrorists are banking on this and to keep meting out the terrorism on us. And we need to do better as human beings. And what really pains me the most is just looking at the fact that Leah Sharibu is the only one that was left behind. We have five of them died. 5 Dapchi girls died within that. She's the only one that the government negotiated. And up to today, I can't wrap my head around the fact that a whole government negotiated and left a child behind, and they were okay with it. And it's been 4 years now. And by the way, Leah Sharibu's father, it's a police officer who serves this country. Is it how we are paying people who really put their lives on the line for us?
You've already touched on it, the fact that Leah remains the only one of those girls who was left behind. And the narrative has been she's been kept in captivity because of her refusal to renounce her faith and convert to Islam. And I want to ask you, with this being the 4th year of her captivity, is this really just a conversation about religion or resistance, or is it more than that?
At this moment, on that question, I think it was the terrorists that will be able to answer that particular question, because it's really, I can't even wrap my head around that. In the 2nd chapter of the Quran, there's a verse where it says that there's no compulsion in religion. You can't force anybody to be a Muslim, and everybody has a right to their own religion. For you, it's your religion. For me, it's my religion. You do what you want to do. I do what I want to do. There's also a verse in the Quran, and so this kind of mentality, it's really it's something that I can't just understand for what angle they're coming for, where they say they're holding this child because she refused to renounce her faith. She has a right to have faith. But the most important thing, and I think we need to put it squarely, is at the place of government. How did the government find it okay, and up to today, that they're okay with it, that we left a daughter behind, we left a child behind? That's it. That's the thing. And it seems now as if, okay, the government seems to have moved on. They are not interested in whether people are abducted now or they are not abducted. Nothing happens because they've been given that enabling environment for them to actually do nothing and get away with it. Beyond the reason why the terrorists are holding her, it's for us to say, where is that importance of life? Because the primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives and properties. Why is it not protecting the life of Leah Sharibu? Why is Leah Sharibu still in captivity? In 2014, when we're making demands for Chibok girls, one of the things we said at the Bring Back Our Girls movement was that the fight for Chibok girls was not just the Bring Back Our Girls was not just for Chibok girls alone. It was for those that were taken before and after them. And it's so sad that right now we have it's almost like something that it's a norm for people to be abducted, for school children to be abducted, for students to be abducted, for citizens to be abducted in Nigeria. That's not the way to live, and we must find that not acceptable, and citizens need to speak up more.
Right, you're absolutely right. It's been 4 gruesome years for Leah. I'd like your reaction to reports that indicate that, she's fully assimilated into the Boko Haram community, and that, she's married to a top commander and she's had 2 children, and she may not want to return or maybe even have converted her religion.
When people say that, I find it's absolutely so sickening. This is a child. How old was Leah when she was taken? This is a child that was taken away. Even, for example, I'm 48, and a whole lot of other people. For survivor, you can do anything. Well, how do we say, she's assimilated, you should forget about it? That was the same thing they said about Chibok girls. 2 years after, when we had not found any Chibok girls, that was in 2016, we're being told that, they are married or they don't want to come back, leave them. That's not the case. Bring her back home. Let her come home. Let her look into her mother's eyes and tell her mom that she doesn't even want to come. You can't take away somebody has been abducted, taken away, and then we are here making excuses that she would not want to come back home. She has assimilated. What was she supposed to do? She was forced into this. This is not what she wants. This is not her life. Let us all sit down for a moment and think of our life. 4 years ago, what were we doing? 4 years later, where are we now? Where are our children? 4 years ago. I mean, those that had just finished secondary school, they are about to graduate from university or have even graduated from university. And we can't just sit down and say that, she has assimilated, she's okay. No, she's not okay. She needs to be brought back home. Her mother is waiting for her. Her mother is heartbroken. Her mother has been grieving for 4 years. Her mother has not been able to live a minute without thinking about her daughter that is in captivity. And please, Nigerian government need to bring her back home to her parents for them to hold her in their arms and look into her eyes and just tell her that she's home. All of these excuses that we try to make that people are okay, that they are being married off top commander. Who married her off to any top commander? She's not married off. She's being raped daily. She's being forced to do things she shouldn't do. We should think about it from that angle, not to make some reports or some to justify why she should be left there. We've all failed Leah Sharibu, and we should, as a nation, we should be ashamed of ourselves. We should all be. This is not the way it is. Our children are looking at us, as parents, our children are looking at us that if anything happens to them, we're going to just sit down and do nothing, and then we'll be justifying the reason why they're there. She's not married off. She's being raped daily, and we need to do something about it as people and as a nation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're very correct, and really, it's so sickening, really, to think of what she, might be going through with the Boko Haram commanders or whoever. But, you touch on an important subject. Our father, Leah's father, is a police officer. And I wonder if at a point or at some point, the Inspector General of the Police will have invited, Leah Sharibu's father, or even the president or the people in authority to console him, console the mother. But beyond that, just like you said, the Nigerian government should just do everything possible to bring her back. But sometimes I wonder, what really should we be saying to government? How else should they move? What should the security apparatus of government be involved with at this point? Not just for Leah Sharibu, but for all the other girls still in captivity. It really, flies in the face of logic that many years after, several girls are still being held in captivity. We have failed these girls, but then what do you think should be our words, our suggestions, our advocacy directly to the government?
Okay, so I went off. I couldn't hear you, so I had to go off and come back. But I just heard the part where you were talking about the Inspector General of Police and the President.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so sort of meeting, whether at one point they could have had a meeting. The thing about Nigeria is that we do not have respect for citizens. We do not have respect for life. And so government absolutely is disdainful of its citizens, even though the government derives their power from the citizens. And so we've always been in a place where people, so those who are voted into office, let me put it this way, Nigerians hold their fellow citizens to more accountable to them, to be more accountable to them than they hold their government that ought to be accountable to them. So we allow them get away with a whole lot of things. Simple things that really don't, just to show gesture, just to show empathy, just to be there with someone. We definitely don't do them a lot in this country. And so people just don't care. And even when you're making demands for such things, for the human life, for the Nigerian life to be validated, people will sort of looking at you and thinking, oh, you're doing too much. Why are you here? If they now meet, what will now happen? Will it mean anything? It does mean a lot. It means that you're putting everything. When you meet someone, you sit down with them and have that conversation. You're taking that thing as if it's your own child. Like I always say to people, think about it. If Leah Sharibu is your own child, or any of the Chibok girls, or anybody in captivity, what would you do? Why don't you do it now? Don't wait? Because and another thing also, if I just quickly say this, is that many Nigerians have very expensive empathy. So until it directly happens to them, they never feel anything. They don't want to do anything. When it now happens to them, then you now hear them saying things like, oh, I never thought it would be my turn. I used to hear it before. I'm thinking maybe because they think they pray, they have the patience to prayer, and these things won't happen to them. But the thing is that if the empathy tells you to take this thing as if it's your own, and do whatever it is that you can do. Because right now, no matter what you do, we are not feeling the pain of Leah Sharibu's parents, Leah Sharibu's mom, the pain that she goes through and all of that. Whatever empathy, because we feel, because at the end of the day, you have your own child that you're going to still hug, that you're going to see out there. But I think the most thing is that we don't value lives in Nigeria. We don't value, citizens are not valued, and even the citizens themselves do not even think that they're deserving of being valued. We are actually in an abusive relationship with our government, and hopefully it stops soon, and we begin to value ourselves as human beings that need to be treated with respect and dignity.
All right, Aisha, we'll have to go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue on the conversation. So stay with us, please. Welcome back to the morning show. Still in the studio with us is Aisha Yesufu, human rights activist and businesswoman. Thank you for staying with us. Now, you are the co-founder of the Bring Back Our Girls movement. You and a bunch of people, Obieze Kwesili, Reno Mockery, have been, you guys have been pushing for her plight, for her to come back home. Reno, on the other hand, he's been printing T-shirts, and only recently he released a song to highlight her 4 years in captivity. Now, how much further can you all push? And what do you make of Reno Mockery's campaign?
So how much further can we all push? We can't afford to stop. As long as the terrorists have our citizens, we must continue to make demands for them to be brought back in. And I always remember the words of my daughter where she said, as long as Chibok girls are in captivity, we all are in captivity. As long as any Nigerian is in captivity, we all are in captivity. And that was why at the Bring Back Our Girls movement, one of our chants was always the fight for Chibok girls is the fight for the soul of Nigeria. We are actually fighting for the soul of Nigeria. I think every citizen should take this as a challenge, as something that we all need to do, because we can't wait until it directly affects us before we do something. And if we don't do anything, if we don't force the government to actually make our lives priority, our safety a priority, the terrorists will continue to be emboldened and continue to do more and to do more. You might think it's far away. Before you know what's happening, it becomes right in. On the issue of Reno Omokri's campaign, yeah, it's a good one. Everyone needs to campaign for when people are taken away and make the max. That's the way it should be. But most importantly, also we should always remember that everybody that is in captivity, whether it's during when we worked with the government, whether under when we worked with the government or under the government that we liked, or the government whatever happens, it shouldn't matter. What should matter is the lives of people. And I would also like to remind Reno Omokri that Chibok girls there are a number of them still in captivity, and the fact that he worked under Jonathan's government when they were taken away, it's not a reason to not make demands for them, or I look to the fact that they are not there. I mean, it's a campaign that we all should do. So he's doing an amazing job with the Leah Sharibu's issue, and it would be nice for him to expand it beyond. So those that were taken before her, those that were taken after her, including the Chibok girls and all the others that were also taken before and after her, because in that way we will have a united front to be able to fight the terrorists. Right now, the terrorists are united in giving us, in terrorizing us and killing us and maiming us and abducting us. But we, the citizens, seem not to be united in actually fighting them. We're still picking grounds based on, oh, did I like this government? Do I don't like that government? The terrorists don't care. They are all coming after us. So we too should all come together and ensure that we're making demand, whoever is in government, to do the needful and protect the people. And as the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we always say that we are administration neutral. We don't care who is in government at any time. What we care about is the Nigerian government, which has been before, today, and after, irrespective of who is the person, irrespective of whose administration it is.
You know, usually when people talk about adversity, there's the saying, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. If I can survive this, I can survive anything. And it seems as though, sadly, you can also look at the negative side of that. If we look at gun violence in the United States, for example, there are some people who would say, after the United States was able to get through Sandy Hook, a shooting at a nursery school, a shooting of young children, and still Americans are uncomfortable with laying down their arms, there's no going back. So when we have a situation like here in Nigeria where you've got hundreds of girls or children being taken at a time, and years later, many of them still in captivity, do you think that this is that other side of that saying where, well, if this wasn't bad enough and we can't do anything about this, it's only going to get worse? Is the safeguarding of children in Nigeria only going to get worse?
Well, if we do nothing, that's what we are painting. Because like I said earlier, when citizens actually accept these things and do nothing about it, two things happen. The terrorists are emboldened, so be sure that they will do more. Then the government is giving enabling environment for them to do nothing. And of course, they will not do anything where they do not have the incentive to do something. So those two things are there. And if you look at this issue, there are many people who will say that, okay, for example, even if you look at the gun violence, but people have to protect themselves because of the kind of thing, it's their right in the Constitution to bear arms, to carry arms and everything, until when the person becomes a victim, or their child becomes a victim, or they are related to a victim, then it now dawns on them. I mean, that's the human nature. And sometimes, people are always ready to say, okay, yeah, there are some people that it will happen to, yeah, but then on the long, it's not everybody. But when it really comes home to you, it's when you're directly affected. And I think people need to understand that. Don't wait until you're directly affected before you do the needful about it. When this abduction started and the Bring Back Our Girls movement, those are the things that we were warning against. And we're saying that, look, if we don't fix the problem at where it is, we'll continue to have people being abducted. And that's where we are today. And the whole of it is at the heart of governance. And that's one of the things we realized as we went on and we kept demanding for Chibok girls. It's going to be 8 years in a few months. The demands for Chibok girls, the Chibok girls abduction, and also their demand by April 30th is going to be 8 years. Along the years, we just realized that, look, this is about governance. If you don't have good governance, if you don't have a government that puts the lives of the people as a priority, it's just a matter of one person with this will make demand for this, and the person will be taken away. And before you know what's happening, they brought back another set have been taken away, which is where we are today. And I think citizens need to understand that life is not supposed to be endured. This issue of, okay, we've survived it, let's survive it. No, we shouldn't be surviving in Nigeria. We should actually be living. We have a right to live life in a country where things actually work and we feel safe and we can actually go out. Or when we're sleeping in our houses, we are not afraid that somebody can just come in and take us away, and we know nobody is going to look for us.
Well, all right, Aisha. I mean, I agree that this is about how safe are we. So the larger context really is about the state of insecurity in Nigeria. But of course, you know that it didn't start today. It didn't start yesterday. Boko Haram started under former President Yaradua. It got worsened under Jonathan, like you alluded to. The Chibok girls were, under Jonathan. And now we're also dealing with the same shade of the same problem, different shades of the same problem under the Buhari administration. Government will tell you that they are trying to deal with the larger issue of insecurity. They will mention a number of things. They will mention how many terrorists they have killed, how many terrorists they have succeeded in converting. They will mention the level of investments that they have in the Tucano jet, for example, the infrastructure of security. I know that this may not be satisfactory to many Nigerians, but do you appreciate the fact that there are some battles that the government will not necessarily win? And therefore, in making some of these advocacies, do you put that on board so that you can better advise them rather than preach El Dorado that we know may never happen, as to just bring back the girls? We want the girls back, but then what can we in specific terms suggest to government to better safeguard the lives of citizens in Nigeria?
Okay, so first of all, yes, the Boko Haram terrorism started under Yaradua. It wasn't under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and it has worsened under Muhammadu Buhari. So that's one on the ground. The other thing is to say that in 2014, the Bring Back Our Girls movement.
Well, it looks like we might have lost our connection to Aisha Yesufu. Just then, we're hoping that while our technical team reestablishes connections, we can talk amongst ourselves, because it is definitely a heartbreaking situation what's happening in Nigeria for many reasons, but also because of the safeguarding of children. So it is just a shame that we are marking 4 years of Leah Sharibu's captivity. And as Aisha Yesufu alluded to there, in April it will be 8 years. If nothing changes, it would have been 8 years since the Chibok girls would have been in captivity. So it is quite distressing content on the morning show this morning so far.
Not only distressing, it's quite a shame that we all know that the target is our young girls.
Absolutely.
And we have not done anything to safeguard our girls against this menace. The abduction is ridiculous. What are we reporting today on the schoolgirls in Virgin Yari, the Dapchi as well? And it's really ridiculous. I believe that we still have,
Aisha
Aisha.
Yesufu is back. Hello, Aisha. Good to have you back on the show.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We lost you.
Okay, so apologies for that. I think my network just tripped up.
No
And
problem.
so straight off from where I stopped, I think I was saying that in 2014, the Bring Back Our Girls movement had a document called Citizen Solution to End Terrorism, which was like the solution created from amongst citizens on the fight against terrorism. And also, let me just quickly mention that we have the document. We have a missing persons register that we suggested the government needed to have for us to even know the number of our citizens that have been taken out there. So coming directly to the question that you have asked, the thing is that we try to, as much as citizens, we try to give government too much leeway in this country. What is the government really doing? There's something that they call movement, motion without movement. You can sit down and be giving appearances. It's very easy to say a lot of things. Oh, we are doing so much. We've done this. We've bought that. Anything that has to do with buying things anyway, that you will see Nigerians be quick. Oh, they've bought this, they've bought that. Because most of these things are always an opportunity they're like conduit pipes, right? For a lot of things. Let's come back to the basics and say, on the issue of insecurity, you cannot fight insecurity without intelligence gathering. Where is intelligence gathering in the things that we do in Nigeria? For example, what do you call it? SSS, also known as DSS. Their intelligence gathering skills are always at when there's going to be a protest. They will call protesters, they'll be harassing protesters and all of that. Let's look at the Kankara abduction that happened in Katsina State. Barely on that day, the president had gone into Katsina. Katsina is his home state. He was in Daura when that thing happened, some hundreds of kilometers away from where he was. Where was that intelligence? The terrorists did not even stop their abduction, knowing fully well that the president, the whole commander-in-chief is in town, where you would expect that the whole, every intelligence gathering should have been done. Everything that should have been happening within that state should be known to the intelligence gathering agencies. Nothing was done, and they still went on. They took away the students. For days, they trekked. We couldn't track them. They took them away. There had to be negotiation before they were brought back in a state that the president had just gone in. So that's one. Where is the intelligence gathering in Nigeria? For example, in 2014, the Iraqi government did what was it now? I'm looking for a particular word. I've missed it, but oh gosh. But what they found, that they found 50,000 ghost soldiers in 2014. If we do a check of Nigeria Army, how many ghost soldiers are we going to find? Because a lot of time, remember during Jonathan when he said he had sent 20,000 troops to the northeast, a lot of people in the northeast kept saying they are not seeing those soldiers. Mm-hmm. And the thing that happened with ghost soldiers is that, unlike ghost workers that will just take away money and the country will lose money, with ghost soldiers, you actually are also going to be losing lives, because soldiers that are supposed to be at a particular place, you find out that they are not there, right? In terms of our military, they've written open letters to the president. They've cried out. Even the people, remember, is it General Adeniyi, who cried out, and what did he get? He was demoted. In 2014, there are soldiers that refused to fight war. They said they will not fight Boko Haram without weapons. And what happened to them? They were actually sentenced to death. Bring Back Our Girls movement met with the Attorney General and asked for that sentencing to either be removed or taken away from them, because they were fighting. They were saying they won't fight without weapons. Their cases, they are still in prison, and they're still fighting that case almost eight years on. So our soldiers at the war front have come to say that they are not being taken care of. The things are not being, their welfare is not being taken care of. Even when they fall sick, they are not being taken care of. For those who have died, we've seen the shabby treatment that we've given them. How do we expect that our soldiers are going to give their all? The terrorists are not more than us. The fact is that we have a lot of sabotage that is going on. By 2016, 2017, we were actually with the war against the terrorists was actually being won, because 6 weeks to postponement of election during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the Nigerian military, started working. Government got the political will to actually fight terrorists. And we saw what happened from soldiers that were running away from terrorists and being driven into Cameroon, and they said it was tactical maneuver, to us actually getting back those territories that had been taken away under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He did it in that 6 weeks to election.
Aisha Yesufu, it pains me to have to interrupt you here.
There will be a political will.
Thank you very much. We have run out of time.
At the end of the day, so the question is quite broad. Government isn't doing the things that it's supposed to do. There are so many things that the government is not doing, that we have more of corruption going on, and they're not fighting all of this corruption. And if we don't do that, the terrorists are going to continue to have the upper hand. We recently had a lot of our soldiers.
Aisha, I'm so sorry to have to interrupt you there, but we have come to the end of our time allotted to this segment. Thank you very much for joining us, though.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.